Hi, I'm Dan from oneHR. Welcome to the latest oneHR BYTE Sessions webinar. The focus of this session will be reviewing some key elements and setup areas of your oneHR profile. So on this session, we'll be looking at our employee profiles, our leave and absence setup, the reported areas, and then also the setup of our reminders and compliance tools on the system. The goal of this session is to highlight areas where we can reduce HR admin through 2025 by reviewing and nailing them now at the start of the year. So the first area that we're going to look at is our employee profiles. So I'll start by jumping into an employee profile. And this is a great place to start. We can review what employee information we have in place currently. We can look at where any gaps are, and we can also ensure that our employee leave allowances are set up correctly from the start of the year, so our employees are able to log in and book their holidays without any issue. So on our employee profiles, we have our leave and absence breakdown here on the right hand side. So this is where we're going to be able to see our employees' current remaining leave entitlements, and then we also have our sub-menu here on the left. So as we scroll through this list, we can look at the likes of our employee information, contact details, emergency contact information, working patterns, salaries, and then perhaps most important to the employees themselves, the leave allowances. So within the leave allowance tab, this is where we are able to set our leave allowance for this user for the current leave period, and we're also able to set next year's leave allowance in advance now, so that when the year rolls over, that value or that allowance will automatically kick into play, and you won't have to worry about having to go through this process all over again at the start of the next year. Within this leave allowance section, we also do have the ability to see how many days this employee had remaining from their entitlement last year. So if you have a policy where employees are able to roll days over, for example, you'd be able to pinpoint on their profile how many days they had left to take and how many days you want to bring forward to this current leave year. When we get to the reporting area, we will also look at how you can run a report to see how much leave each of your employees had remaining from the previous year, rather than having to go into each employee's profile one by one. When we are reviewing our employee profiles, it's also great to have a look at what documents we have in place. So if we look at our onboarding tab here, for example, we can see, do we have our employees' contracts, job descriptions, CVs, proof of address, for example. So if we look at this dummy user, for example, we've got a few documents missing. So these are some gaps that we might want to address at the start of the year. We can also run a report on our onboarding area or any other areas on our employee profiles in the custom data report section that we'll look at shortly. This effectively is going to allow us to run an audit on the system to see what's in place, what's not, and then off the back of that, we can put a plan of action in place to address those areas where information may be missing. It's also a great time to, at the start of the year, to assess what information you currently capture on the system and if there's any additional information that you'd like to capture within oneHR. So our probations tab here, for example, up to our employee information tab, these are our standard set sections on the system, but we do have the ability to create and build out custom sections to capture any additional or potentially any industry specific information on the system as well. So for example, on this account, we've got a training matrix set up where we can capture training certifications, their completion dates, renewal dates, and then also upload a copy of any certificates. Performance reviews, company equipment, and the likes of employee relations are also good examples of custom sections that we can set up on the system to create a full profile for this user, their role within the organization, and then any interactions they may have within the team and within the organization as well. If you'd like to book in a session to discuss what sections you need currently and have us help you put a plan in place to create and then roll those sections out within your team or your organization, please get in contact with the team by dropping us an email at help@oneHRsoftware.com. So those are the key areas on our employee profiles. What we'll look at next is our leave and absence setup on the system as well. So I've gone into the leave section on oneHR and I'm currently looking at our leave and absence calendar. So you'll likely be familiar with this view. So this is where we are capturing our holidays, sickness, absence, lateness, appointments, whatever it may be for our employees. But at the start of the year, it's good to review how we're managing this and if there are any additional absence types, leave types, appointment or record types that we may want to set up within the system as well. So by default, on oneHR, you'll be presented with 4 types when it comes to adding leave on the system. So you can see on this dummy account or on this demo account, we've got quite a few more options here. Whereas on your account, you may just see at the moment annual leave, sickness, lateness, and appointments. You've got the ability as an admin to go into the admin section and the leave calendar tab. And here you have the ability to add additional leave or absence types. So you've got the ability when creating these types to give them a name, select whether it is a leave type, an absence type, or a record type, and assign it a color. And then for each of our types, we have a few configurable options that relate to how this individual type will interact with our employees' leave allowances or the calendar itself. So at the start of the year, it may be a great time to assess how you're managing absence. Do you have your absence split into unpaid and paid absence? Are you currently capturing lateness on the system? It's a good time to ask yourself these questions and think about how you want to be capturing or monitoring your leave and absence through 2025 and get those new types set up from the very start of the year as well. We will just quickly refresh how we can get a kind of more detailed breakdown of our leave and absence within the calendar as well. So by default, we're presented with this calendar view where we can cycle back and forth through the months to see who's been away, when, and why. But we do also have our leave table, which allows us to view our holidays in a table view, where we can set a custom date range. So rather than be restricted or to being seen just one single month at a time, let's say, for example, I want to see all leave in January and February of 2025. I can set my dates and then the list below will update in line with, firstly, the dates that we've set. But then we do also have the ability to sort by department, by leave or absence type, or by leave status as well. So for example, if we just wanted to see a list of all pending leave requests, we could filter our list and see those individual requests here. We do also have the ability to search for a specific or individual user if we just want to see a breakdown of their holidays beyond the breakdown that we get on their employee profile. So if we want to see all holidays this employee's took in the last 5 years, for example, we'd be able to do so within this table view. We can also search for an individual employee within the calendar if you want to quickly bring up their leave for the next month, the next few months, whatever it may be. So that's our leave and absence calendar. As I say, I'm sure many people are familiar with that already, but it's always a great time at the start of the year just to reflect upon how you've been managing it and how you want to manage that moving forwards as well. So the next area that we're going to look at is our reports area, which may help to tie some of our leave and employee profiles together with us having the ability to run reports on leave allowances, remaining leave, on whatever it may be. So we'll now just jump into the reports area. So on oneHR, we have two reporting areas. The first being our reports section, which provides us with 3 pre-built reports. The first of which is our leave report, which will give us a summary, or it'll give us a total value of days taken within a set period, and then also give us a percentage breakdown to show how much of that total can be attributed to sickness, to holidays, absence, parental leave, whatever it may be. So this could be a good report to run at the end of a year or the start of a year to compare to the years prior or the years that are to come as well. So say, for example, if we want to monitor our sickness, we could set our date range to show the last 12 months and then compare that against the 12 months prior to see how we made progress in managing absence, or is there still work that's yet to be done. We then also, in the reports area, have our absence report, which will give us a breakdown of absence instances, the number of days that make up those instances, and then also the Bradford factor score, again within a set time period. So this, by default, will be set to a rolling 12-month period, but you can adjust this to give you a monthly absence report, 6 months absence report, whatever it may be. You've got the option to chop and change those dates to give you a specific breakdown of absence. So say, for example, if you need to provide a report to your payroll based on who's had how many sick days in the last 30 days, this would be a great place to get that top level overview of who's been away and how much. That being said, if we then want a more specific breakdown of absence and leave within the business, we can then go into our custom data report section where we have our leave and absence list. Similar to the table that we saw in the leave section, here we've got the ability to set a custom date range. We can select what departments we want to appear in this report, what leave or absence types, and then also what statuses. And then this will provide us with a list of any sickness, holidays, appointments, or latenesses that have been recorded within that period. And then you'll also have the ability to export this to Excel. So if you are needed to send a breakdown of days taken to your finance team, for example, you're able to export it from the system here and send across that list as well. So that's one of the reports that we get within the custom data reporting area. We then also do have pre-built reports that correspond with each tab against our employee profiles on the system. So this is where we can start to assess and review what information we have on the system from a team or company-wide level. So say, for example, if we want to look at who has their contact details in place on the system, we can run a report that'll give us this breakdown of contact information on the system. Here we'll be able to see where the gaps are so that we can look to address them. But then in addition to having these individual reports into each section, we do also have the ability within the custom data report to build our own custom reports where we can pick and choose different fields or different tabs across different areas of our employee profiles. So this is where we can run a report. Say, for example, we want to see a breakdown of employees. We want to include their name. We want to see what their current remaining leave entitlement is. And then from the leave allowance section, we may, for example, want to see what their allowance was at the start of the year, and then also how many days they had remaining from last year. So once we've picked and selected our different fields, we can hit the submit button here on the right, and then that will provide us with a report based on the specific fields we've selected that, again, we have the ability to export to Excel. So this example here with our remaining holidays is a report that is great to run at the end of the year. So as we're approaching the end of our leave year, we may want to run a report to see who's still got days left to take, so we can ensure that those days are being taken in advance or booked in advance, rather than us having a mad scramble at the end of the leave period where everyone's trying to book the same days off, and you then may suffer with personnel shortages in the office. It's a good report to run kind of as we progress through the year, just to make sure that employees are taking their days and getting that time away as well. With these custom reports, once we've created them, we do also have then the ability to save this configuration. So if we know it's a report that we're going to run or want to run on a fairly regular basis, we can save this configuration and rerun this report whenever we need it, rather than having to come in and build it each time we want to see this information as well. This is also a great area to check the likes of your employee onboarding document, who's got what documents are missing, whatever it may be. So there's a lot of value that can be obtained from this custom data report section at the very start of the year, but then also as we progress through the year as well. At different dates where we just want to check in to see, okay, at the start of the year we were missing this many employee contracts, or this many employees didn't have their contact details up to date. 2 months later, how are we getting on? And we can see those different reports, compare those different reports as well. So the next area that we're going to look at, which is our final area on this session, is the compliance and reminders tool. So you'll find this under oneHR on the main left-hand side menu. Okay. So now we are in the oneHR section. Previously, you may have used this feature, or may have seen that it was called reminders. We've since updated this to be called compliance instead, and we've made some additional changes to this initial overview. So at the top here, we have a list of all our reminders that are being created within the system, and then below we also have a list of any actions that are corresponding to or associated with those reminders as well. And we'll take a little look at that in a bit more detail once we've gone through the process of actually setting one of these reminders up. So in the upper right hand corner here, we can create a reminder where initially we are prompted to select a reminder type and give it a name. So as an example, or as some examples, so reminder types we've got here would be a document, a meeting, or maybe a training reminder. But let's use a document in this example. And then we can also give this reminder a name. So we've got some examples here. So let's say we are looking at our company handbook. We can add in additional options at any point. But here we're setting up a reminder for our company handbook. So this renews, let's say it renews on the 1st of April. And this is a reminder that reoccurs every year. So we can say this recurs once every year. It could also be every 6 months, every couple of weeks, every few days, depending on what the reminder is. And then we can also set a trigger for how far in advance of this reminder for this handbook update do we want our assigned employee to actually be notified that this reminder is coming up. So again, it could be a matter of number of days, a matter of weeks, months, years. It's really dependent on the reminder that we are creating here. And then we've got the option at the bottom to assign or choose who we want to assign this reminder to. So let's say it's our handbook update. It renews on the 1st of April, recurs every year, and we want to be reminded 1 month before, so we've got a chance to make sure that we can get those updates in place ahead of that needing to be renewed. And then we're just going to assign it. I'll assign it to myself, why not? We then also have the ability against these reminders to then create one or more additional actions associated with this individual reminder. So say, for example, the reminder here is to update our company handbook. So I might set myself a reminder to contact my HR team, and then the description may be reach out to HR to ensure that updates are made ahead of renewal date. And then I can set a deadline for when this task needs to be created. And then again, I can assign this to the same user that we created the initial reminder for, or this could go to a different member of the team. So it could go to your HR team, to an office manager. Depending on the reminder, you can pick and choose different people across your organization. So that's task number 1. I may also want to create a task for a member of the team to then upload this new handbook onto the system once it's been updated, once it's been completed, whatever it may be. But once we've set up our reminder and our accompanying actions, we can save that, and then it'll then be added to this table. That'll give us a breakdown of what reminders are being created, what reminder type, their name, key dates, so renewal dates, reoccurrences, who it's assigned to, and then we're also able to see how many tasks have been created alongside that reminder and how many at this point have been completed. And then against each reminder, we've also got the ability to check this box that will filter the list of actions below, so we can see any specific actions that are being created alongside this reminder or renewal. We then also do have the ability to export both our reminders and our action lists. So if we want to be able to, review what renewals are coming up on what dates through the rest of the year, we'll have the ability to do so through that export. But it's a great time now at the start of the year to set these reminders up and allow them to tick away as the year or as the years go on. You only need to set them up once, and that reminder will just continue to run in line with the renewal periods and reminder periods that you've created when you've set that up. So when it comes to reviewing your documents, you may also want to use it to schedule reminders for managers, for example, to complete monthly one-to-one meetings. That's another great use of this feature. So there's a lot of value that can be added via this tool, especially if you're kind of getting everything set up at the start of the year. It's really going to help to reduce that HR admin. You're not going to have to chase people up over document renewals, send reminders manually to managers to make sure that they're completing their kit meetings or their one-to-ones. Set them up once on the system, and oneHR will take care of that for you for the rest of the year, or ultimately, I suppose, until the end of time, as they just continue to reoccur. So that is our reminders tool there. So that's a brief look and summary of some of the key areas on the system. Obviously, there's a lot more that oneHR has to offer, but I think in terms of nailing your setup and helping to reduce your admin, those are the key areas that you want to be looking at the very start of this year. If you'd like to learn more specifically about one of those areas, or if you'd like to book in a refresher session to look at your company and your setup specifically, by all means, please feel free to reach out to our customer success team by dropping us an email at help@onehrsoftware.com, and we'll be able to run through your setup and then put that structure in place to set you up for success in 2025. Thank you.